mindfulness and calming strategies on high school students. Some schools have already implemented some form of mindfulness training with students, and teachers are reporting positive results. Every student feels a bit uneasy when entering a new classroom for the first time. However, imagine for a moment the anxiety of entering a classroom where everyone dresses differently than you and is speaking a language you don't understand. CLP students experience this daily while enculturating to a new school, language, and society. Some schools have already implemented some form of mindfulness training. Review of the literature. When we searched online for mindfulness, page after page appeared with suggested activities and exercises and the reported benefits associated with them. Several curriculum companies advertise their programs, as well as individuals sharing their experiences with mindfulness practices. As educators, we are aware of the daily demands we place on the students due to demands of expectations placed on us. We want to look at research to validate the time we are going to use in our classroom in order to reap the benefits for all students. Students have their parts to play as well: intention, attention, and attitude toward the activity.
Methodology, the research questions. Our first research question was, how will educators practicing mindful and calming practices influence the academic achievement of ELLs or English language learners? Our second research question was, does mindfulness training have a positive effect on the achievement of high school students who are learning English as a second language? The sample for our study would be 40 high school students, grades 9 through 12, that are English language learners. The English language learners would have to have a proficiency level of 1, 2, or 3, and this is out of 6, so the 1, 2, or 3 levels would be considered newcomer or early beginning learners. The groups would then be divided into 20, randomly selected into controlled groups or non-controlled groups. The controlled group will have mindfulness exercises used on them, and the non-control group would learn in a traditional classroom setting. The groups will be a homogeneous selection, and the students will be chosen from one local school district in the area from all the high schools. The cluster sampling would only be for ELL students and not for mainstream students, as the study is looking on the impact of ELL students and mindfulness, and not how mindfulness impacts the mainstream students who are not ELLs. There will be 2 instruments used in our research. The first is a pre-test and a post-test of high school content. The content area test will be reliable and valid, as we will use 2 tests of the same subject. Those tests will have the same format questions as well, such as multiple choice, true or false, or open-ended questions. The second tool will be a mindfulness student survey. This survey is by Tyler Renshaw. There are 3 major issues that the survey covers concerning mindfulness. The first is, what do they notice at school? The second issue is, what do they do when feeling bad at school? And the third issue is, what do they do when something is challenging to them? These questions are ranked with responses for almost, sometimes, never, or rarely. The data that will be collected through the post-tests will be used to compare how the mindfulness affected each group. Both groups will not have any mindfulness for the pretest, but then we will clearly be able to see any results from the post-test of both groups. Through this study, there will also be observations in the controlled classroom and the non-controlled classroom. We will be able to see behavior and strategies that students have learned to use throughout the mindfulness practices. And the final data for the mindfulness survey will be used to look at how do students feel about it, how will they incorporate it, and how has it changed their attitude and thinking towards the subject.
Thank you for watching our presentation. I hope you enjoyed.